Sweden is confident that Turkey will approve its application to join the NATO military alliance, but says it cannot fulfill all the conditions Ankara has set for its support. Finland and Sweden signed a three-way agreement with Turkey last year aimed at overcoming Ankara's objections to their membership of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. They applied in May to join NATO in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but Turkey objected, accusing the countries of harboring militants, including from the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party. Now, one sticking point has been extraditions of people Turkey regards as terrorists. Sweden's Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson speaking out earlier on Sunday. Let's take a listen.
Nothing has changed on that front. Turkey confirms that we have done what we said we would do, but Turkey also states it wants things that we cannot and that we will not give to them. Now the decision is for Turkey to take.
So to break down the latest developments, we're joined in studio by our senior correspondent, Bianca Zanini. So Bianca, Sweden maintains Turkey is simply asking too much. Talk us through the security assurances that Ankara is wanting right now and how this could all impact the path to NATO acceptance for Finland and Sweden.
Right, security assurances. I mean, Turkey has really been against or pushing back on the inclusion of Finland and Sweden since the get-go. I mean, President Erdogan clearly saw an opportunity to put a spotlight on something that he finds important, but also to show some muscles on the international stage. He set up a series of conditions, some of which have already been met. That includes the stopping or the removal of a ban on weapons sales that both Finland and Sweden had on Turkey. So that has already been agreed upon in this agreement that you mentioned. But there are a few issues that still are still here, and that includes what you mentioned, the extradition of suspected terrorists. So basically, Erdogan accuses the countries of harboring, especially Sweden, harboring people that are suspected of being members of the PKK, and that's an organization that is seen as a terrorist organization, in particular by Turkey, but also internationally by the EU and the US. And also he wants Sweden and Finland to extradite or return or send back, whatever word he prefers to use at the moment, people that are under suspicion of being involved in the 2016 failed coup attempt in Turkey. Now, they signed an agreement. Sweden has already extradited one person that was a suspect, and that happened in early December, but that's not enough from Turkey. And Ankara got really upset when the Swedish Supreme Court refused to send a journalist back. Basically, the Supreme Court said that he would be at risk of persecution if he were to be sent back to Turkey, and that because of that, they simply would not do that. And this is an issue that comes back again and again. Sweden is saying, listen, when this happens in accordance with Swedish law, we can talk about extraditing. But when it goes against Swedish law, we just can't do that. And the burden of proof to substantiate an accusation of terrorism in the Swedish justice system is very complicated. It's very high. And so what the Swedes are saying is that essentially this is not a political choice. It's up to the court system in Sweden.
And given the comments that Sweden is making, say they can't fulfill all these demands, what is the likely reaction out of Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and how is this going to implicate efforts to join NATO for Finland and for Sweden right now?
Well, it looks like experts are saying that this is more a question of when rather than if. But even when is really an important matter because, I mean, as you mentioned, Sweden and Finland tried to join back in May, and there's a war going on right next door to them. And if something happens, they're not going to be covered by NATO's Article 5. So they want it to happen yesterday. And for Erdogan, I mean, he is running, there's going to be national elections in Turkey in June. And there is a possibility that he's going to be pushing this as much as possible because it does give him the sense of being a big player on the international stage.